This is a Paragon Basic class. My name is Chris Peterson. I work here at Intermountain MLS. And today we're going to look at searching, printing, and emailing in Paragon. And so we're going to talk about the home page. We'll talk about sharing listings, but we're going to talk primarily about searching, printing, and emailing in Paragon. So the first thing we want to talk about on the Paragon homepage are the widgets that are here. So over on the right side, we've got the Market Monitor widget up on the top right. And the Market Monitor widget gives you a snapshot of MLS activity. And by default, it shows you the entire MLS. And for a lot of people, that's too much information. But you can click on Edit Widget up on the top right of that Market Monitor widget to customize it. So I'm going to click on that here. And there's two reasons to talk about the Market Monitor widget. First, obviously, customizing it is the first reason. The second reason is the way you customize the Market Monitor widget is also how you enter information in Paragon when you're searching. So let's say I wanted to filter the Market Monitor by property class. I have that option right here, and there's two ways to enter the information. First, I can click on the magnifying glass, and that brings up my choices. So I click on residential and hit save, and that would put that in there. But if I already knew the choice I wanted to make, I can just select the field and type in what I want, and then select that from the choices. So you can do it either way. So by putting residential in there, my Market Monitor will only show me residential listings. I'm also going to add a property type. Maybe I only want single family and single family with acreage. And then I can either use area or city and county as ways to filter the Market Monitor. I'm going to use city. So I'm going to come here and I can select from the list, or I can type in the cities that I want. So I'm going to put in Meridian and Cuna. And there's two other options on the customized Market Monitor window. The default section for the Market Monitor, there are these tabs across the top, so you can choose which tab is the open tab when you log in. The system default is the market, which I'm going to leave it on, but you can select any of the tabs. And then you've got your number of days back default. The system default is 1, which means showing you things in the last 24 hours. But you could set the system default from 0 to 7. 0 would be since midnight, 1 is 24, 2 is 48 hours, and so forth. You can manually type in up to 30 days. I'm going to leave mine on 1. So now when I hit save, you'll notice that my listing count on the market tab will change. Primarily, the new listings will no longer say 368 because I won't be looking at the entire MLS, but only Meridian and Cuna. So now it says 87. So 87 properties have been entered in the last 24 hours. And it's great that it shows me these numbers, but if I want to see those 87 listings, I can click on the word new or the number 87, and that brings those listings up for me to view them. So now I can see those listings that have been entered in the MLS. The only item that's not modified by the number of days back is pending. That's the current number of pendings that match the filter. So for example, if I want to see what's happened in the last 2 weeks, I can put 14 in there from a number of days and hit refresh. The number of new jumped up to 230, but the pending stayed at 472. So you can go here and you can put in the number of days you want or set your default so you can see what you want to see. The other tabs in the Market Monitor, the My Info tab is your own listings. Your recently sold, your current listings. The Market tab we already talked about. The Office tab is the office you're part of, where the firm is the entire company. For some agents, that'll be the same. For other agents, if you have different branch offices, that would be different. And then team is going to be if you're assigned a team in the MLS. So that's the Market Monitor widget. A couple of things to remember about the Market Monitor widget. If you don't customize it, it's not going to be very useful because it'll have too much information. And second is you're only going to see the information you've set up in the preferences for the Market Monitor. So if I was an agent with a listing in Boise, it wouldn't show up on my Market Monitor because I've set mine to look only at Meridian and Cuna. So you want to keep that in mind. The Contact Activity widget, the next widget below, gives you a snapshot of MLS activity. Just kidding. It shows you activity going on with your contacts that have been entered into Paragon. And the contact activity number in parentheses tells you how many of your contacts have some kind of new activity. That could be a new match to a search. It could be something they've done on the Collab Center. When you put your mouse on the number there, it will tell you what that new activity means. And if you click on it, then you'll see the new activity. So here I can see the 22 contacts that have some kind of activity in the system. If I click on the plus next to one of my contacts, here I can see the searches assigned to that person, the current number of matches, how many have changed. And just like the Market Monitor, if I want to see the 23 new matches on this search, I can click on that number 23 and it would bring those listings up for me. And now that I have viewed it, when I refresh the home page, you'll notice the contact activity now says 21 new because I already viewed one of my contacts activity. The other activity we see here are the favorites possible or rejected from the Collab Center, any comments that have been left, any searches that have been created. You can see all of that information there. The next widget on the right side is the calendar widget. I have mine collapsed. You can collapse widgets by clicking on the triangle on the top right. The calendar widget isn't very useful. It doesn't synchronize with your iPhone or your Gmail account. It's kind of like a calendar on the wall. It's a great way to find out what day of the year we're on. The day I'm recording this is day 66. But other than that, it doesn't do very many things. On the left side, the widgets we've got here, we've got the Paragon News widget, which is updates from Paragon, information about Paragon. Like right now, they're talking about Paragon Connect and a little information that they have there and a way to watch videos. Below the Paragon News widget is the Message Center. The Message Center are messages from Paragon. So I currently don't have any messages, but if you had a contact whose search was going to expire, Paragon would remind you to renew it by giving you a message when you log in. And if you didn't work with that message when it popped up initially, you could come back here to the Message Center and see that. And then the last widget over on the left here is the Quick Search widget. The Quick Search, like it sounds, is a place to do a quick property search. It's not where you do all your searching. That's why it doesn't say, hey, do all your searches here. But like the Market Monitor, we've got an Edit Widget icon on the title bar that lets us change the criteria items that are in this Quick Search. So if I click on Edit Widget, this Customize Quick Search comes up. And in Paragon, when you're customizing things, you'll notice two columns. The available side are all the things that currently are not being used. The selected side is everything that's there already. So maybe I'd like to add number of acres to my quick search. So I select number of acres, click add. When you add something, it puts it at the bottom, and you can leave it there if you want, or you can use move up and move down to move it, or you can click and drag it to move it. So maybe I want it right by age. And now when I click apply, that adds that item to the quick search. So now I have number of acres right here. And if the time comes that I want to change it again and I want to remove something or add other things, I can always come here to edit widget. If I want to remove something, select what I want to remove and hit remove, or add other things in there, I can do that. When you're working with the quick search or in a regular search, you're going to see these operators that say equals or contains, and those are there to help clarify the criteria. At the top and bottom of the quick search, you've got count, clear, and search. So let's say, for example, I was working with a buyer and they wanted to live in Meridian but didn't want to live in Tuscany. So I could set this to active, put Meridian as my city, and then I have subdivision down here at the bottom, so I could put in Tuscany, and then I would change it from equals to not equal to. So now I'm getting everything in Meridian that's not in Tuscany, which currently is 544, where if I changed it to equals, it would show me the one that's in Tuscany. If I hit search, that would bring up that one listing, and I can see that. Count updates the count, clear clears the criteria. Another way to search is the power search up here at the top. It's kind of a catch-all, lets you search for contacts, agents, listings, offices, properties. When you enter something, the most of a category it can show you is 10. So for example, if I type in Adams, there are more than 10 listings that have Adams in them, but it's only showing me the first 10. I only have 2 contacts that have Adams in their name, David Adamson and Ken Adams. And there are more than 10 agents with Adams in their name because we haven't even touched the Adamsons under the agents. But if I click on my contact's name, that'll open up their contact record, and then I can see their information here. There's the searches assigned to them. Under contact information is their name and email address and other contact information. And under buyer activity are the searches that have been assigned to that person and how they're being notified. But that's how the power search works. To the right, we've got MLS documents. What you'll find there are some folders with information about different parts of the MLS, different products. The old area map PDFs are there. Information on Paragon, Instanet, Form Simplicity are all available there as well. Compose email lets you send an email from Paragon. It's not where you would email listings from. You would do that after you run your search. But this lets you send an email to anyone about anything. Paragon keeps a history of things you've emailed. Automated emails are kept for 60 days, and manual emails are kept for 90 days. And we'll see where that is in a little bit here. To the right of Compose Email is Help. The help is useful. It opens up in a new tab. I can select Paragon, and then I've got options here, like if I'm doing a search or working with the Collab Center, I can go in and get information. And so that information is there for me to view. And it opens up in a new tab, so I can have that open at the same time that Paragon's open. The reason it's important to understand where the help is phone support for Paragon is done by us in-house at Intermountain MLS, and it's available 8:35 Monday through Friday when we're open. Evenings and weekends, there currently is not phone support available, but that help is there to help you whenever you need it. And then up on the top right, you've got your information here where you can assume identities, go to the preferences, and assume identity would only be there if you do assume someone's identity. You can log out there. And so that's the top title bar there. We'll come back and talk about these buttons in a minute. On the opposite side of our home page, we've got the session time remaining down here on the bottom left. Paragon times out after 2 hours of inactivity, but if you're clicking on buttons and menus, that time is constantly resetting. So right now mine says 2 hours and 47 seconds. I click on the home button, and now it goes back to 2 hours and 1 minute. So Paragon won't time out when you're using it. To the right of session time remaining, we've got the hot sheet and save property searches that are part of the quick action links. To customize your quick action links, you just come down here and click on the little gear on the bottom right. And then where it says menu categories, that corresponds to the menu categories across the top. And then you can select an item from the menu to add to the selected side to be part of the quick action links. You can have up to 6. So for example, maybe I do a lot of tax searches. So I go to tax. There's the Sierra State Tax Search. I can add that over here, and now when I hit save, now I have Sierra State Tax Search down here at the bottom, and clicking that would be just like going to tax and clicking on Sierra State Tax Search. Or maybe I'd like to add residential searches. That's under the search section. So you can have up to 6 items there, and you can always change them. If you go back to the customize and you hit remove all, then it just goes back to the default of the hot sheet and save property searches. The middle section, the hub section here, has information from the MLS that's updated periodically with information about billing or rules processes or other things that may be there. So it's always good just to take a glance at it. And then across the top, we have this top title bar. And we'll just talk about those buttons here briefly. So the home button always brings us back here to the home page and refreshes it. So if I'm looking at listings or I'm on a tab, when I click home, it brings me back here, but it doesn't close the tab that I'm on, or that I have open, excuse me. If I want to close a tab, I need to be on that tab and close it myself. Next is the search menu, and the search menu is divided into 3 categories. We've got search by class, specialty search, and saved search. There are 6 property classes, so they each have their own search, and we'll come back and look at residential here in a few minutes. Office exclusives let you search office exclusives within your brokerage. Office exclusives have a restriction on public marketing, so that's all you would see there. Multi-class lets you search everything together, and so because of that, it's less specific. Under specialty search, these are all searches that have specific functions. Like the mapping takes you to use the mapping. It's also integrated into the other searches. Hot sheet and auto hot sheet let you look for listings that have status changes or price changes. The hot sheet lets you enter criteria. The auto hot sheet does not have any criteria. Property history lets you search a listing's history in the MLS. Our sold data goes back 20 years. Expired and canceled data goes back 19 years. Inventory lets you search your own inventory. It's a great way to search your production from the previous year because you're able to create a search and find properties where you were the listing or the selling agent. So whatever side of the transaction you were on, you can do. Tour and open house lets you search for open houses. Address archive is for information that's beyond our 20 years of sold data, so you'll see limited information there and you really won't see any pictures. Under saved search, there's 2 choices, saved property searches and listing cards. Saved property searches is where all the saved searches are available that you've created. The thing with the saved search you want to remember is a saved search saves the criteria, not listings. So if I've ran a search and I saved it today and I found 10 listings today, tomorrow I might find 11. So it's based on the criteria. A saved property search is very similar to a bookmark you might have on your web browser. Maybe I go to usatoday.com to read the news every day. If I were to click on that bookmark today, I'd see one set of headlines. In 3 days from now, if I clicked on that bookmark, I'd see a whole new set of headlines, but the same bookmark. That's what a saved search is. Listing carts lets you save listings. So maybe I've run a search and I want to keep track of a few listings. I could add those to a listing cart, And every time I bring up that listing card, it's those same properties. And a listing card is not a search. Listings are not added to it unless you do it, or removed unless you do it. And we'll look at how to save listings to a listing card here in a little while. The listings menu, this is where the input maintenance tools are. So if you're going to input maintain your own listings in Paragon, this is where you would do that. Before that ability is turned on for your account, you first have to complete the input maintenance class, which can be done in an in-person class or watching a recorded class with an attendance quiz. Once the class is completed, you fill out the input security form, have it signed by your broker, and then return that to the MLS, and your input ability can be turned on. The CMA menu, this is where the CMA functionality is in Paragon. You can create an easy CMA, which is one of the things we look at in the advanced class. Contacts, this is where you can go and add your contacts into Paragon. To add a contact, you just click Add Contact, lets you enter their information. When you add a contact, it's only visible to you. It's not something that can be shared with anyone else, and people don't receive any emails from the MLS unless you turn that on. If you want to see the contacts you've already entered, you can go here to View Manage Contacts. So in my training account, you'll notice I have 46 contacts here. But when we were on the home page, I only had 23 that had new contact activity, I believe. 22, excuse me, because I already looked at one of them. So this 21 new is showing me the 21 that have activity, even though I have 46 contacts here. And then like we saw before, I can view my contacts. If they have searches assigned to them, I can see how many current matches they have, how many new, how many changed. If they're using the Collab Center, I can see how many properties are undecided, how many they marked as favorite, possible, or rejected, the last time they were notified, and the last time they accessed the Collab Center. Also under the contacts menu is sent messages. This is, like I mentioned before, where you can see emails that have been sent. Manual emails are retained for 90 days. Automated emails are for 60 days. And if you click on the subject or the date, you can see the email that was sent. So for example, I can see this manual email that was sent. There's the link right there. If I click on it, and then it comes up and it shows me the properties that were sent at that time. So I can come back and view those. The financials menu are a bunch of rate calculators similar to what you might find at a lender or title company website, not specific to Intermountain MLS. So you're not going to plug an MLS number in or anything. But if I go to the financial amortizer, I can enter a mortgage amount and an interest rate and get an amortization. The tax menu lets you pull up tax information. The tax autofill options are for entering listings using tax data. And as Idaho is a non-disclosure state, there's not a lot of autofill options. The CRS data tax search lets you go in and search for properties. It opens up CRS data. I can put in my parameters and search for a property. You're not limited to listed properties. You have the entire tax database that you can search from using that CRS data tax search. You also can access CRS data from the Intermountain MLS gateway right here when you first log in. Okay, so that's the tax menu. Next, we have the roster, which lets you search for agents or offices. You can enter information to bring up someone. It's really easy to look for someone. What you won't be able to do is export a list of email addresses. If you want to get a hold of someone, when you click on their name, you'll see their email address, but the list is not an option when you use the roster. Resources are some links that are also on the gateway. So, for example, Cloud CMA, Instanet, the Realtor Pro Search, RPR, Paragon Connect, List Track, Form Simplicity, Broker Bay are all available here as well as on the gateway. And it's just another way to access those. Preferences we'll talk about in a minute. And then we have another way to access Paragon Connect right from here. Paragon Connect is the mobile access to Paragon. There's an app you can download from the App Store for it as well. And so you can access it there. It's the same database that Paragon has. They share the same information. So your saved searches, your contacts, and all of that are in Paragon Connect as well as in Paragon. So when you log in initially into Paragon, under Preferences, the User Preferences wizard comes up. We're not going to go through that wizard today, but once you go through it, it doesn't come up and ask you it again to go through that wizard. But if you ever want to access just the preferences on their own, you can do that from the Preferences menu. So if I go here to the User Preferences, the office logo and agent image are the choices that are here that are most important. And so under Office Logo, to add my office logo, I just click on Update Office Logo. And then if I'm going to upload an image, I want to make sure I'm on the My Images tab. The My Office Images tab would be for a broker. That's the broker of the office. And the MLS Images tab is for the MLS. So to add my image here, I would need to get it from my computer. So I go here to Upload Image. And I can either drag and drop or click add files and bring in that image from here. And then once my image is uploaded, I select it, click insert image, and now I've got my agent image, my company image in there. The agent image works the same way. I just go here to update photo. Again, I want to be on my images. To get it from my computer, I go here to upload image and either drag and drop or hit add files and go find the picture I want. And then once the picture is uploaded, I just select it, hit insert image, and now I have my agent image. A couple other preferences to hit at here. Under system preferences, we have user interface. So if black is not your favorite color, you can change how Paragon looks. You can come here and select a different color. They also have different themes, like maybe I can't wait for spring, or I'm excited for fall, or I want to go to the beach. The most updated, the most current one, I should say, is Midwest. So if you like barbecue and windmills, that's a good one. Probably the one we have the most calls about in the springtime is winter. People are tired of seeing Santa Claus and Rudolph. And when you change a theme and save it, it's only visible to you. It doesn't affect anything that you email to anyone else. And then to go back to the black theme, it's the empty spot right above blue. So that is the theme. The last one we're going to hit on here is under the email preferences, and that is the email signature. You might have noticed when I hit compose email, I had a signature here with my contact information. To create a signature, to create an email signature, you just go here to the email signature section under the preferences, click on add new, and that will pop in your information from your account into the email signature section. And then you can edit it, like maybe I want to edit the way my name is. Maybe I'd like to add my email address. And maybe I want to remove the this property brought to you by. To change the logo that's here, you want to remember you're working with two invisible rectangles, one with the text and one with the image. To remove to add your own image here, I should say, you want to first delete it and then click on Insert Edit Image here at the top to replace the image. So I'll do that right now. I'm going to select it with my mouse, click Delete on my keyboard, and now when I click on Insert Edit Image, that'll bring up the Insert Edit Image window. I click on the magnifying glass, the little browse button, and I can select my logo that I uploaded, hit Insert Image, hit OK, and now my company logo is there. Now it is a little large, so I can click on it and then drag the corner to resize it. But now that I have the signature that I want to use, I can save it. So I'm going to save this as signature 2, because I already have a signature in here. If I wanted to make it my default, I could do that. I already have a default though. So now when I hit save, whenever I go to email, now up here at the top, I have two options. I have my default and signature 2, so I could select whichever signature I want when I go to email someone. And that would be really nice to have a signature perhaps for a buyer and for a seller, so you could have different information in those for whatever scenario you need. And then to remove a signature, you just select the one you want to remove and hit delete, and you can remove it. So those are the preferences in Paragon that we've talked about. Again, there are other preferences here, and nothing in Paragon, if you change it, can't be clicked on revert to default to return to where it was previously, and nothing will break with the preferences. So I'm going to close some tabs that I have open here, and we're going to talk about searching. So to search, I want to go here to the search menu and then choose the property class. So we're going to pick residential. When you choose a property class, that opens up a property class search tab. So if I choose land, then I would have a land search tab. Below the property class search tab is what's called the sub tab. And the sub tab has three parts. Criteria, which is where we are now, that's why it's highlighted. Map search takes you in to use the map, and then run search runs the search. Once you've run the search and are looking at listings, instead of saying run search, the third side of the sub tab indicates the name of the report you're viewing, and we'll see that here in a few minutes. To add additional searches, because you can have up to 3 searches open simultaneously per property class, you just click on New Search, and then you can use that search screen and view those search results at that time. So maybe I'm working on a search and I need to call my client. I can open up a new search and have that available. Below the sub tab is this blue toolbar, and you just mouse over it. The items drop down. Under load search, we have load saved search and load default. So here I am right now. I'm on the MLS default, which is the system default. But if I go to load saved search, I can find one of my saved searches, like here's one for Julian Sark. And now I'm on my saved search, and instead of saying default, it has the name of the search I'm on, saved search for Julian Sark. And then I can come here, I can work with the criteria. Maybe I'm going to change the price, and the count automatically updates. And then if I hit search, it would bring up those listings. So I want to go back to my default. So under load search, now I can go to load default search. Last search shows the last 5 searches that you ran. So you select a search, it loads that criteria, you can modify it, and you can hit search to run the search. Under last search, the one that you're on is grayed out, so you can understand which one you're viewing. Go back here to my default search. Under Customize and Fields, that lets you add and remove criteria from the criteria screen, just like we could with the quick search on the home page. There is a lot of criteria that's already here, but not everything. And so you can add and remove by using Customize Fields. One thing to be aware of when you're customizing and adding fields is if you add something that's not required, you're limiting your search to listings where agents decided to include that information, but they weren't required to. A perfect example of that is builder. Builder is not a required field. If you add builder to your search, only agents that decided to include that will have a builder, and it has to match whatever you've entered in for that builder. And with the exception of new construction, builder is very rarely on listings. So I'm going to go here to customize fields, and let's say I'm working with a buyer and they want to live in Meridian, but they don't want to have CC&Rs. Sad to tell you, there's not a way to search specifically for that, but you can search for association fees. And if a property doesn't have association fees, there's a high probability it doesn't have CC&Rs. And association fees is a required field on every residential listing. So here's association fees. I'm going to add that in. Just like before, it adds it here at the bottom, but this time I'm going to drag it and put it right above the remarks. And I'm going to hit apply. The other two options for apply, save, and apply, save as would save my search, and I don't have any criteria in there yet, so I don't want to do that. Apply adds that item for this one search. It's not permanent there. And so now when I scroll down, you'll notice I have association fees that have been added to my search. So now I'm going to go in and put in my criteria. So I said I wanted to live, we'll do active, sorry. We'll do single family, and then we'll put in Meridian. And then we don't want any association fees, so I'm going to put 0 as my maximum. And you'll notice the count updates to 16. So there are 16 properties currently for sale that are single family in Meridian that do not have association fees. If you didn't know, Meridian is the king of the HOAs. So if I take out that 0, there are 445 for sale, but only 16 of them don't have association fees. So that's how customized fields works. You can go in and add and remove fields that you want. Now, if I wanted to make it there permanently, I would need to save my search, which is also how I could save this search for my client. So there are 2 ways to save a search. There's the easy way and the detailed way. The easy way, come here to save search, click save search, give it a name. So we're going to call this HOA no fees in Meridian. And then I just click save, and I've saved my search. And now when I go here to under the search menu, my saved property searches, here I have HOA no fees in Meridian. Now the detailed way to save my search is 2-part. First, if you're saving it just for yourself, you can choose to not save the criteria. The reason you might do that is maybe you've rearranged the layout of the search screen by using customized fields, or you've added things in there you want, or you've removed things. And so you want to save the criteria, but not you want to save the layout, but not the criteria. You also can set that search as your default. The thing to remember when you set the search as your default is that criteria you're saving will always come up. So if you check that box, you're saying, I want the search I'm saving to always come up when I hit residential or whatever search you're saving. The contact tab of saving a search, the other detailed way, lets you save this search to a contact. You can either add a contact on the fly or select from your existing contacts and assign the search. So I'm going to use Bucky Barnes. And so now I'm assigning this search to this contact. If I click save, that just saves it. If I hit save and notify, then that will save it and take me to their contact activity screen, and I can turn on notification. So let's click save and notify. So now I have that saved search assigned to Bucky Barnes, and I could come here and turn on some kind of notification for that person. Okay, so back here to our search. That's saving searches. And so I'm going to go back here to load search, go back to load to default. And here we have the criteria screen. And we're just going to enter some criteria to run a search. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory. When you're looking to enter criteria, the map search is first. You wouldn't want to do that first because as you notice here, it says the map only displays when there are less than 500 matches, meaning right now when I have 584,000, the map can't display listings until I narrow it down more. So we'll come back to the map in a few minutes. When you're entering criteria, you'll see two icons to the right of the fields. The question mark tells you how to enter data, like MLS numbers or zip codes. I use comma, tab, or enter to separate those fields. And then the magnifying glass, which we've already seen a few times, lets me select the criteria. So I'm going to put in all the actives and all the pendings. So when we go to the map, we'll see some different colors. Under type, I'm going to do single family. And we're not quite to less than 5,000. So we're going to put Boise as my city. That'll drop us down. So now that I have less than 5,000, we can talk about the map. So I'm going to click here on the search by map. I could also click on the map search tab, part of the sub tab. So that brings up the map and I can zoom in here. Now the red X on the map is going to be your office address. Mine is the MLS office in Boise. But you'll notice now it's showing me listings on the map that are in Boise. And that's because I put Boise as a city in my search. Had I not done that, it would be if there were less than 5,000, it would show them everywhere. There are two ways to use the map when you're searching. First is by locking the map boundaries. When you lock the map boundaries, what that does is it draws a dotted green line. It's probably pretty faint, but there's a dotted green line around the map. And anywhere I move the map, it's only looking within the visible window of the map. So as I zoom in here, only what I can see on the map is part of my search. So as I move north, the properties south fall out of my search. Properties that are farther north become part of my search. The other way to use the map is to draw a shape. So I'm going to unlock the map boundaries. To draw a shape, you go over here to draw on the left, and there's three options. Polygon is your own shape, rubber band is a box, radius is a circle. So I'm going to click on polygon. When you're drawing a shape, you don't hold down the mouse button, you just click. So you'll notice my mouse is crosshairs, and everywhere I click, it lets me add a line, and then I can click where I started, and it uses that shape for my search. When you're looking at the shape, if there's little blue circles, it just means you're zoomed out. As you zoom in, then the properties will appear. And once you've drawn a shape, you can click here on edit, and I can edit that polygon. The thing to remember when you're editing a shape is it can only be the shape that it is. A polygon will always be a polygon, so it can be any shape, but a radius is only going to be a circle, and a rubber band is only going to be a box. So to draw a rubber band, I just click in one corner, click on the opposite corner, and now I've got my rubber band. To do a radius, choose radius, click where I want the center of the radius to be, move my mouse, and now I've got a radius. You can have up to 10 different shapes. So I've just got the 3 shapes here. The thing to remember with the shapes is that everything has to work together. So I've got these 3 shapes here. If I go back into my criteria, which you can easily go back and forth, let's say I take Boise out of my city. So now it's just using the shapes. But I came down here to school district and I put in Meridian or West Ada district. You'll notice my count drops to 33. And if I go back here to the map search and I zoom out, I'm only seeing the listings that are in the shapes but are part of West Ada School District. So everything has to work together. You just want to keep that in mind when you're running your searches. After the back here, blah, 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 blah. Back here on the criteria, after type, we've got listing visibility type, and those are there by default. MLS listing coming soon up, new construction. Those are the three types of visibility types that are emailable, and the default search already includes those, so you don't have to add those in. Area, city, county are all ways to work with location, and they all have to work together. So when you're entering criteria, everything works together. Area, city, county, zip code, all the location things we need to work together. So for example, if I put in area 400, put in Boise as the city, put down Ada as the county, only where all three of those overlap is at finding me properties, which with my shapes, I get 17. But if I take out Ada County, still going to be 17. Take out Boise, still 17 because area 400 is the smallest. So it all works together. Then we have price per square foot, beds, baths, square footage, garage capacity, low, high, minimum, maximum. You just have to put in whatever you need for your search. After garage capacity, we have our dates, closing date, listing date, and status date. Closing date is grayed out because I don't have sold as part of my statuses. Listing date would be when the property was listed. Status date would be the date the statuses you're searching for were achieved. And you can either enter dates by clicking on the calendar, or there's a date range dropdown that has preset choices. If you're saving the search, the date range dropdown is a lot better way to do it because then you don't have to change the date every time you run the search. Year built and age. Year built lets you type in your own 4-digit years. Age has preset choices. And with age, you want to remember that the first three, to be built, under construction, and new never occupied, those are the new construction fields. Level, anything that says below grade is a basement. Land size has preset choices. Number of acres lets you type in your own. If you choose single family, that always means it's going to be less than 1 acre, where single family with acreage would be 1 acre or more. Subdivision, there are 6,586 on the list. It's the same list agents have when they enter listings. Address number lets you put in an address number. Multiple addresses lets you do more than one address if you need to. Then we get to features, and you can start typing in, like if I know I want central air, I can start typing that in as a feature, or you can click on the magnifying glass and bring up the feature choices. The thing to remember with features is first, there are only 3 that are required on residential listings: construction, list class, and source of square feet. All of the other features are optional. Second, when you're putting features in, your choices are must have, must not have, or must have one or more. And must have means every listing must have what you select. So if I had a person that wanted air conditioning and I marked central air, ductless, and window wall unit, only listings that had all 3 of those would come up in my search, which would probably not be very many, if any. Must not have means no listings will have that. So if I mark evaporative, no listings will have evaporative. But must have one or more lets me use variables. So now if I mark these 3 cooling types and must have one or more, if my listing has any of those 3, it'll match. It doesn't have to have all 3, but it could have 1, 2, or all 3 to match. And so it lets me use variables by using must have one or more. Then we have school district and schools. That's pretty self-explanatory. Showing instructions, how the property is supposed to be shown. Maybe I want ones that are appointment only or using broker bay. Occupied by, owner, tenant, vacant, whichever is applicable. The remarks and agent remarks let you type in information to search in those fields, but they have to be together just like everything else. So if I type in fix, looking for a fixer-upper, and I put that in the remarks and in the agent remarks, only listings that have it in both places will come up, which in most cases is going to be 0. Most people don't write the same thing in the remarks and in the agent remarks. Then we have the distressed property fields: short sale, foreclosure, bank-owned, auction, HUD-owned. They're just yes/no fields. The word search lets you select a section of the listing and search for a word there. So for example, I could come here to master bedroom level and type in what I want the level to be. The thing to remember with many fields is they're not freeform text, meaning you have to select from the choices. So like on room levels, they're not freeform text. They have choices to pick from. So if I were to type in first, because I want the master bedroom on the first level, which you would think is great, that's not going to work because the room choices are main, down, and upper. So first is not an option. Putting first in there would find me 0 listings. Then we have agent, which is listing agent, listing office, selling agent, and selling office. So I'm going to enter some criteria here. You'll notice as I've been entering criteria, the count automatically updates. Now, real quick before I run my search, what you want to remember is that if the criteria summary uh, indicates and your count shows 0, it's really 0. So for example, if I put in Canyon County, excuse me, not Canyon City, if I put in Canyon County, you'll notice my count drops to 0 because my map is in Ada County. So if it's 0, it really means 0. Paragon isn't out to get you. It's not trying to trick you. It means that the criteria is either so specific, nothing matches, or in my case, I've got things that are conflicting. I've got shapes that are in Boise, but Canyon County as my county, which is not in Boise. And so you just want to make sure that everything matches and you have the correct count that you want before you hit the search button. All right, so now I have some criteria in here. I'm going to hit count. My count has 332. Let's hit search and bring up the listings. Now, before we jump in and look at listings, across the top here on the spreadsheet are all the columns. You can add columns to your spreadsheet, just like you can customize your search screen. You just go up here to customize fields, and like we've seen before already a few times, the selected side is everything that's there. The available side is everything I can add in. So maybe I want to add in number of acres. I want to add in age. I'm going to add price per square foot. And they're alphabetical here. So here is price per square foot, and I'm going to add subdivision. So when I add those in, it adds them here on the bottom, which is the right side of my spreadsheet, and I can move them here. I also can drag the columns, which I'll do in a minute. You also can rename the spreadsheet. So if you want it to be something other than MLS defined, whatever, you can do that. So now that I've added those columns, they're on the far right side of my spreadsheet, but I can move those. So maybe I'd like to have subdivision over here by area. Maybe I want price per square foot over here by price. We'll put age over here by approximate square feet and number of acres over here by age. And then once I have them in the order that I want, they're going to stay there until I change it. And I can click on any column to sort by that one column, like I just clicked on price to sort by price. But also under customize is sort, and that will let me sort by up to 3 columns together, 3-tiered sorting. So let's say I want to sort first by subdivision. If there's more than one of the same subdivision, they'll sort by number of acres. If there's more than one of the same subdivision with the same number of acres, then they're going to sort by price per square foot. And when you set the sort, it by default saves that to the spreadsheet, so it will always be that way. So I'm going to hit save. And so here we've got 4 properties in Adams Ridge. These first 2 have the same number of acres, so those are sorted by their price per square foot, and the second 2 have the same number of acres, so they're sorted by their price per square foot. And you'll notice you can click anywhere to select a property just about. You don't have to only click on the checkbox, and then I can click checked up on the top left to show me the ones that are checked. All goes back to the whole list. When you're looking at a property, if you click on the actions icon, looks like a little plug, gives you all the options for that property, which we'll look at some of those in a minute when we bring up a property report. And you don't have to try to customize every spreadsheet to include everything. If you go to the reports menu and go down to spreadsheets, there are 20 spreadsheets that are all identical until you customize them. So you can make them look however you want them to be. So I'm going to double click on a property here. That's going to bring up the MLS full detail. The MLS full detail has a lot of information about the listing. You can scroll through the pictures. You can click on pictures to enlarge them. If there's an open house scheduled, there's an open house icon right here. Click on it. It shows me when the open house is occurring. For example, this one has 2 open houses coming up. And then if there's book appointment, that means Broker Bay is available. So if I click on book appointment, that'll bring up Broker Bay. And then I could schedule the appointment and hit auto, and then it would automatically confirm it for me. Or I would hit confirm appointment and it would send the information to the agent to be able to notify me of an opportunity to show the property. And then we've got all these little icons over here on the right. And these icons are in every listing. The only icon that agents have some control over is if they're adding a document or not. So if they don't add a document, the document icon won't be there. So we'll talk about these icons briefly. We'll click on some of them, others we won't. The first one is the Google Street View. Clicking on that brings up Google Street View. So here I can see the property in the most current Google Street View. Next, we have the map. And if you change the map from road to hybrid, it'll let you get an aerial view. You can rotate the map. Maybe you want to find out which neighbor has the pool. Then we have the H for history. That brings up the property history. So if a property's been listed before, you can see the previous history there. So for example, with this property, I can see all the way back to when this property was listed in 2015, all the way through where we are right now on the current listing that was listed in February of 2025. Then we have the community reports. It uses a zip code to bring up the community report with tabs for people, schools, environment, quality of life that are all there. Then we have the agent side of realtor.com, the Realtor Pro search. This brings up that property in the Realtor Pro search. There's a link to view it in realtor.com, and then extensive property information is available here. Then we have RPR. RPR stands for Realtors Property Resource. And so if I click on RPR, that'll bring up RPR. And if you haven't logged in before, you can log in. Your RPR credentials are from your NAR membership, not from the MLS. So your NAR membership provides that. So here we have the list price of the property. And RPR also includes what's called an RVM, or the Realtor's Valuation Model. And that uses on and off market property data to calculate a value for the property. And I can click on that RVM value or view details and see the properties they used as comparables. So I'll zoom out here. There's the subject property. There are the comparables they used, and it gives a 1 to 5 star confidence rating on the value of that property. So that is RPR. Next, we have Instanet. That would open up Instanet Transaction Desk to create a transaction. We have Cloud CMA Flyer, which would take me to Cloud CMA to create a flyer. Then we have the Keybox Settings Report. When I click there, it comes up and shows me the lockbox that's been assigned. On the bottom row, we have the documents. So here I can see the agent uploaded some documents. I can click on a document to view it. Here are the CC&Rs. And then to go back to the previous report, you click on the Back to Previous Report button over here on the right. Then we have two CRS data icons. The first one is the CRS data property report. So here's the property and the tax records. There's the lot dimensions, the parcel information, school information, sales history if it's available, tax assessment, taxes and historical tax data, mortgage history, property characteristics, legal description, FEMA flood zone, listing archive if it's been listed before. You also can access the comparables report right here from CRS data, as well as by clicking on the CRS data comparables report. Then we have the community report from the Realtor Pro Search, which gives some different information based on realtor.com, like the median home price, the price per square foot, sold price, list versus sold, the kind of market that it is, median days on market, household income, age groups, education, own versus rent. Then FS is Form Simplicity, would take you to Form Simplicity to create a transaction. Then you have Cloud CMA Property Report to create that. Walk Score gives you a score out of 100 how walkable it is. And then Front allows you to see if the flood insurance cost from FEMA for that property. So this is the MLS full detail, has a lot of information on it, and it's made especially for agents. The default view when you send an email from Paragon is the MLS client detail. And the MLS client detail is another reports menu. It's typically going to be under details, but if you want to add it to your favorites, you just click on the star to the right of a report to do that. The MLS client detail includes your agent image and your company logo and has a place for you to enter your contact information. To enter it, and it tells you how to do that here, you go to Customize and then Fields, and then enter your own custom contact information. When you go to the fields, it says a white section is customizable by double-clicking. So I can come down here and I can enter the information I want. Maybe I'm on a team. Maybe Nick and I are on a team together. Put in our company name and our phone number. And then I hit save and close. And once I've customized it, then every time I use that report, that information is going to be there. So I don't have to do it more than once. But you do want to remember if you ever change offices or need to change the information, you have to come in here and do it manually. So I'm going to go back here to my spreadsheet. And now we're going to see how to share some listings. So I'm going to select some properties here. And up here in the blue toolbar, we have some options. We have print, of course, will let me print what I'm working with. Print on its own prints what I'm viewing. So if I hit print, it's going to have me print a spreadsheet. Print Plus, however, lets me print more than one listing and more than one report at a time. So if I go to Print Plus, I can print all 4 of these listings in 2 different formats. So I'm going to choose the client detail and the full detail and remove the spreadsheet. And now when I hit Print Preview, which I would always recommend previewing because you don't want to print something you don't want, but I will get 4 client details and then 4 full details. So we've got all that property information there that we're working with. And so that's Print Plus. Save lets me save my search, or I can save listings to a listing card. So if I want to save these listings to a listing card, I go to Save to Listing Card, save it to myself or to a contact. If I want to save these 9 listings for myself, I'm going to create a new listing card. We're going to call it March 2025, number 2. Hit save. Select these 9, and now when I hit save, I've added those listings to the listing cart. So if I go here to my listing carts under the search menu, here is March 2025, number 2. Click on the number of listings, and there are those 9 listings that I just added to that listing cart. So that's how listing carts work. Then we have share. I can create a link and share it or text the property. Collab link share just creates the link, and then I can copy it. And however I share that link, when it gets shared, will open up in a client-friendly view. It's called the Collab Link view. And on a large screen device, they're viewing the properties. They can click on a picture to view the properties. If they're on their mobile device, so we'll make this the size of a mobile device, it works as well. So they can view the properties and then click on a property again to view that information. And it's a client-friendly view, so it doesn't have the agent remarks or the showing instructions or the owner information. Text lets me text that same link. To text someone, they have to go into your contacts. You can't just enter a phone number in there, but you just select your contact from the list and then either add their phone number or select their phone number. You can type a message if you want. Here are listings, and then you can send it. And because you're texting it from Paragon, it's going to come from a Paragon phone number, and it's always the same one, but it won't come from your individual phone number. But under the contacts menu, when I go to send messages, here you'll notice it says manual SMS, and there's the text that I just sent. And when I click that link, you'll notice it's the exact same link we looked at before, that collab link view. And then the number one way people share listings with clients is clicking on the email icon. So I click email, and I can choose, do I want to email a hyperlink? Hyperlink means when they click the link on a large screen device, it's going to be the client detail report. When they open it up on a mobile device, it will be the collab link report that's mobile friendly. So I'm going to leave it on a hyperlink. I want to do the 9 listings I've selected, and then I'm going to hit compose email. And when you're entering email addresses, if it's one of your contacts, then their email address will come up. If not, you just need to enter the email address manually. I can type in a subject, I can type in a message, and then when I hit send, it gives me a confirmation that it's been sent. And then when they click the link, again, on their large screen device, they're getting this client detail view. You'll notice my information is at the bottom there. But on their mobile device, they're going to get the collab link view that works on mobile devices. And so that's how you can email listings and share them with your clients from the MLS. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any other questions, you can always reach out to us at support@intermountainmls.com. On the gateway where you log in, there's a Contact Us button. That brings up all the contact information for the Intermountain MLS, whether it's membership, support, billing, any of those things. Dumb questions are ones you don't ask, so don't be afraid to reach out. Have a great day.